This past year, I've been feeling like I have not been documenting my everyday stories, so I've decided to revisit Project Life. In this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my process and why I decided to recommit, next on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. Hey guys, welcome back to the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. When you do, click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every time a new video is posted. So for a while, I have not been documenting my everyday stories. I am typically a 12 by 12 scrapbooker, but there have been times in my scrapbooking journey where I have dibbled and dabbled a little bit with Project Life, and I have been terribly inconsistent. I have tried doing Project Life daily. I've tried doing it monthly. I even incorporate Project Life spreads or pocket spreads with my traditional layouts, both 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11. But at this point in my scrapbooking journey, I should say, I really want to focus on those everyday stories, the everyday ebbs and flows of my life and that of my family. And I also want a creative project that doesn't take a lot of my creative energy. And I know that a lot of people approach Project Life in very different ways. And I want you to know that there is no right or wrong way to approach Project Life. You can keep it as simple, or you can really jazz it up as much as you want. But the idea behind Project Life is telling stories. So I decided, starting in 2021, that I would revisit Project Life. And for me, it really is all about words and photos, and embellishments come second to that. So in this video, I'm going to be putting together 4 spreads for my week 2, and I'll show you week 1 towards the end of the video. And every week I'll be working on another Project Life spread, many of which I will share here, either as a process video or just to kind of share what I've created in my Project Life. And as I mentioned, I'm focused on the stories, not so much embellishing. I do want to keep it all very simple. So I'm going to work with the first page for week 2. Not all of my weeks will have multiple pages. Some of them will have 1. Some of them may have 2 back and front. This particular week, I just had a lot that I wanted to document in this format. So I'm going to start out with my title card, of course, aptly labeled week 2. I'm using some dies from LE Studio, and I'm doing somewhat of an inlay design. So, well, probably not inlay, more like backing. So I went ahead and spelled out week 2, punched that out using cut it out using my die cutting machine. And I'm going to back that with some navy cardstock, just so that it pops with that beautiful floral element. I also layered a label on top of that week 2, and that's all done. Again, keeping it as simple as possible. Next up, I'm going to add in some embellishments, and I showed you at the beginning of the video some of the things I'm going to be working with this particular project. I think in order for Project Life to be successful, you need to have a set of materials that you love and that are easy for you to access and to use. So depending on your design style, so if you want to keep yours simple, like I'm keeping mine super simple, then maybe you only pick out a few embellishments. There are fantastic products on the market right now that offer a very easy, streamlined way to add a decorative element to your Project Life pages without a whole lot of fuss. So I like things from Studio Calico or Citrus Twist or even LE Studio, as well as Ali Edwards. So I pulled some things from my stash from a lot of different manufacturers. I also have some pocket cards there from scrapbook.com. They have a new line of really beautiful pocket cards. And I'm letting the designs of those pocket cards do most of the heavy lifting for me and just adding in some smaller bits and pieces here and there. Now you may be wondering, how do I get those collages on my photos? Well, there's another part of revisiting Project Life. There may be a lot of weeks where I have heavy photos, lots of photos that I want to use. And I don't want to print each of those photos individually because then that means lots of spreads. And again, I'm trying to keep this simple. So I'm using what's called PicFrame. It is an app. You can download it and use it on your iPhone or on your Android. And it has these different frame options that you can collage your photos with. And so what you do is you simply download it. You pop in your photos in whatever frame you want to use. So like at the top, I have 2 3x4 photos. You save it to your camera roll and then you print it out. It's really that simple. I don't use things like Photoshop or Adobe because honestly, I just don't have the energy to learn that software. But I can certainly use apps like PicFrame, and there are others out there that give you these pre-designed frames that all you have to do is upload your photos and then save your photo to the camera roll, and you have these really great collages. This makes it super easy to do a pocket layout like Project Life, maybe December Daily, other projects that you may do using pockets. So the photo at the bottom, I have 3 photos there, one of cinnamon rolls, one of me, and one of my graphic t-shirts. And I think that works out perfectly because I can get those photos there and I can also tell the story of that everyday happening. Now I do have some navy blue pieces of paper that are blocking some journaling, that's private journaling. But otherwise, all of my journaling I pre-print using Microsoft Word. I create a text box in Microsoft Word, about 3 by 4. And then I also inlay a smaller text box within that one so that I can have a border around my journaling. And I'll do a video later to show you what I mean. I go ahead and type up all of my journaling while I'm printing my photos so that when I sit down to have a session of putting this layout together, my journaling and photos are already printed. So you see that I'm using a little bit of stamping on here. That's another part of this process that I want to explore. I have a ton of stamps. So as I'm revisiting Project Life, I want to take advantage of all these fantastic stamps that I have, like this one's from Citrus Twist. And a lot of these stamp elements have sentiments that are perfect for things like eating and traveling and other things that are just like everyday story related type things. So here this page is all done. I love all the journaling, all the storytelling, and that's what I want to use this project for. There's that collage photo and just a little bit of embellishing, not much. You don't have to do too much with this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and work on the second page. Again, have my journaling. I sometimes like to split those 4x6 pocket cards, add journaling on one side and then embellishing on another. Now you may be asking, Victoria, why don't you just print directly on your pocket cards? You certainly can. You can format, say, a Microsoft Word page and then measure out a text box the size of your card or the space where you want the journaling to appear. You can do a test print, and then what you would do is you would place your card on top of the printer paper where the print is at, adhere that with some washi tape, and you can run it through your printer. My printer, unfortunately, cannot handle heavy cardstock, and these cards are really thick. I have done that in the past with other printers, and it's worked out successfully. Also, I do like just printing my journaling and cutting it up to the size that I need. I will pre-measure that text box, and I just cut it and add it to the card. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm layering on embellishments not only on the cards that go inside the pocket, but also on the photos and sometimes outside of the pocket too. So it's a great way to explore and have some texture. And if you're going to do that, make sure you're using embellishments that have really good adhesive, or use some red line tape so those elements stay on your page. This is a great way to explore with different design styles. So here I'm keeping it simple. I usually do a lot of layering and such on my traditional layouts, but for this particular project, there may be some weeks where the design is just going to be what it is. Like today, I'm just adding 1 or 2 or 3 elements here and there just to kind of jazz it up, but the journaling and the photos are what are the stars in this particular project. However, there may be other weeks where I want to explore with maybe interactive pockets or different types of designs that I'm inspired by, and that's perfectly okay too. The point of revisiting Project Life is figuring out what works best for you, and what works best now may not work in the future, and that's okay. You can ebb and flow and change things up as much as you want to. So here's an example of me putting a chipboard piece right there outside the pocket, and it's going to stay just fine. And then, of course, some more chipboard pieces that I am mounting there on that photo of my daughter and I. I call that photo pillow heads because we put pillows on our heads one morning as we were acting silly. These are the types of things that I love scrapbooking in Project Life, just these everyday things. What I'm doing for work. The top photo there shows a picture of us at a computer store. I had to buy a new laptop unexpectedly, so that's the story that goes in here. At the bottom is a collage of several things. Me working, of course, getting started for the day with my coffee cup, my package that arrived from American Crafts because I'm on their design team, and then a little moment where I'm cuddling my baby because she had gotten braces a couple of days before that picture was taken. So I can then take all those stories and pop them in a collage using my PicFrame app. Makes it very super simple to do a project like this. So with just a little bit of embellishing, all of that is done. Now, the cool thing about revisiting Project Life is you can also revisit your process. So for me, I like to break the process down throughout the week. Once I have the photos that I want, I will spend about maybe Saturday afternoon printing all the photos. And then I'll also do the journaling. So the journaling and everything is pre-printed. There may be instances where I handwrite, and that's okay. But I do like typing my journaling because it allows me to get a lot more journaling on a card than what I would be able to if I hand wrote my journaling. Then I pick out the embellishments that I want. And then on Sunday morning, with a cup of coffee in hand and a good movie or a Netflix show on, I sit down and I complete my week. Now, I still have week 3 and 4 of January to do, and that's fine. And I'm making sure that I'm prepping February, the first week in February as I go. But designating a time for you to work on this project also helps. And then doing a little bit of advanced preparation helps as well, so that you're not sitting down there trying to figure out what photos that you want to use and what your journaling is going to be, trying to do that all in one session. Break it down over the course of a week and then designate a time block so that you can work on this project. Again, got all that beautiful journaling, got the photos, just adding little bits and pieces here and there. Now, some of the materials I like to use for this project are labels and chipboard pieces. I absolutely love chipboard because it adds just the right amount of dimension. Let me say that fast 10 times. It adds just the right amount of dimension in order for the page to really pop, but also not be too bulky where the cards don't fit in the pockets. I also like using die cuts of various sizes and shapes and materials. So I do have some cardstock die cuts and I have some fabric die cuts as well. And you see me put those down. Now here comes a little bit more stamping. So I stamped not as much on this particular week, but maybe next week I will. And I like to use stamps that are everyday storytelling stamps. And there are so many fantastic ones there on the market. They're not just specific to a specific theme, but you can definitely use them for your everyday stories. Here are some chipboards that I have from Citrus Twist. I have some from Ellie Studio. I also have some from Allie Edwards. Those I absolutely love. And I try to keep these materials all in one spot. So when I sit down to curate a kit, like a small kit for my project life, I know what materials I can pull from. I think what slowed me down in the past is that I wasn't prepared. I wasn't spending the time just to prepare the materials and the photo and the journaling ahead of time so I could enjoy putting my pages together. Also, I'm trying to create a consistent creative practice every day. So this is something, a practice or project that I can work on throughout the week, whether it's typing the journaling or printing photos, so I can make it easier on myself to put this project together and to be successful over the course of the year. So I can't wait to share more weeks with you. Some of them will be processed, some of them will just be a look at what I've created for the week. But I'm interested to know, are you revisiting Project Life this year? And if so, what's your approach? And if you have any questions about my process, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. When you do, click the bell. That way you'll be notified each and every time new content is posted to this channel. I'll see you guys next time.